have no money, no property. I am entirely dependent on that bizarre old lunatic, my uncle. I cannot yet offer marriage, but you must know what I feel. Jane, I'm yours. God, I'm yours. I'm yours, heart and soul. Much good that is.
That's a good quote.
It is a good quote.
That's one of our better quotes.
Is that really Tom?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
That's from the movie. That's a quote from the movie.
Oh,
Tom.
whoa. It's a quote from the movie.
Oh, yeah. I didn't pull it from his book. I haven't gone that
Or his
deep.
letters.
Or his no. That's from the movie.
Okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
You were really. I thought it was a beautiful reading. First of all.
Thank you.
And you got really into it as it went along. And I'm like, I should have sent a longer one, see how this turns out. But we'll monologue as the episodes go along. But I thought that was great.
Wonderful.
Hello. And welcome to Into the Austenverse. I'm David Campbell.
I am Lisa Campbell.
And of course, we're a podcast which is celebrating all things Jane Austen, her books, the movies, the TV shows, and sometimes the movies that are influenced by her life, like this week's episode.
Becoming Jane.
Becoming Jane. Now, this is like a beloved film. There are a lot of people who are very passionate about this film. So we're going to find out what you all think about it very shortly. So how can people find us, Lisa?
They can find us on Instagram at Into the numerical 2, Into the Austenverse. They can find us on TikTok at the same, Into the Austenverse. They can follow us on YouTube and indeed watch the podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, you can watch us.
Watch our faces.
In the flesh.
Not in the flesh. That would be
No,
live.
we're dressed, but like our...
No.
Okay.
All you can watch us in 2D on YouTube, not in the flesh. You can come to our house.
Hopefully we have a few more listeners than just coming into our house.
You can come to our house, which is what?
No, please.
YouTube, which is Into the Austenverse. That's the name of the channel there. Or you could email us info@intotheaustenverse.com.
Now, I just wanted to talk about the fact that last week we did our Halloween episode, our first Halloween episode. Who knows how many years we're going to do with this, but our first, maybe only our Halloween episode, which was on Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Fun ep.
Indeed.
We had a good time doing it and we broke down the movie a bit, but I still thought it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
How did you think about our first Halloween episode? Because we've got another big, I guess, what the Americans would call holiday season coming up, and I wonder what we could do for that.
Yes.
I'm talking about Christmas.
I'm aware of Christmas. I was just thinking, how was Halloween? It was wonderful. We were very inspired by Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, Mr. Collins.
Yes, we
Matt
were.
Smith, and we dressed up as Doctor Who characters.
Yeah, our kids are into Doctor Who. So am I, to be fair.
You are.
I love Doctor Who. And I love the fact our kids are into Doctor Who. So yeah, we did a big Doctor Who Halloween this year. Often we go for a theme. And I mean, maybe when they're a bit older, we could do it. Austen doesn't really go with Halloween.
Unless you're going to go for the zombies.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to go for General Tilney's alter ego, you're not really going to get any horror.
Actually, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies might be really good next year because the boys would be really into zombies and dressing up like zombies. They probably always wanted to do that anyway. You and Betty would be great, and I could go full leather. Full leather Darcy.
Oh, God.
Like full leather jacket, but like just full leather Darcy.
Yeah. Okay,
I could go as a soldier. How about that? Okay, fine. I won't go full leather Darcy. So, and we really do appreciate everybody that's been finding the podcast and sharing it with friends and talking about, Austen stuff with us. We've had a lot of kids now starting to read Austen. Our kids have been passing it on, which has been really interesting.
Yeah, so there's this series of books, non-spawn, Awesomely Austen, and our daughter found one in the library and so read Emma and told her friends, and now they too are reading them. She's now brought Persuasion home. So yes, this is a lovely way for them to get into it.
That's really nice.
I know, it's
great to see the younger, even younger generation. We know a younger Gen Z and generation, but Gen Alpha get into it. That's really great.
Here they come.
They're coming for us. We have more countries following us now as well. We've looked at our maps.
We have.
Yes.
We talked about Brazil.
We've talked about Brazil,
And we've acknowledged our Scandinavian listeners. So, one moment, please. I'm just downloading the map.
Was Turkey one?
Turkey is definitely one.
Yes.
And this week, as of today, drum roll, please. Yasu to our Greek listener.
Yasu kalimera to our Greek listener.
There we go.
I mean, one day I wish for that to be plural, but at the moment,
We're very fortunate. We've got hundreds and hundreds in Australia. We've got good numbers in the UK and the US.
Yeah.
But we now have one in Greece.
we are spreading the love. We are spreading love. Thank you all so much for listening and sharing along with us. Right, okay, so this time we are doing another sort of like inspired by Jane Austen project. This is the movie Becoming Jane. This came out in 2007, starring Anne Hathaway and James McAvoy. Let's go back to 2007 first. I want to quickly test you about things that happened in 2007. What are your memories of that year?
You asked me to marry you.
I put that last as a test, but it is true. We got engaged in 2007.
We did.
We got engaged in Paris.
Yeah.
It was a lovely time.
It was.
God, I really nailed that.
Well done, yeah.
Yeah, I got that bit right in my life. So that was a good part of the year. But for everybody else out there, the first iPhone dropped in 2007. Remember those bad boys?
Yeah, I remember yours getting stolen about 2 days after you bought it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So bad. And it had so many good photos on there too. We went to a Van Halen with David Lee Roth. It was so great. But I remember the soft curve back and then they got bigger and now they're trying to shrink them again. So that happened. For our Aussie friends out there, Kevin 07. He's been back in the news again recently. Remember, we all went nuts. We had Kevin 07 mania.
Kevin 07, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was so big. And now he's the Trump, one of the many Trump whisperers and sort of is the man that Trump can laugh at. And Harry Potter's last book. That was the year of Harry Potter's last book.
There you go.
If we go into authors.
Yeah, there we are.
So there you go. 07, pretty good year. I mean, we didn't know how good we had it back then, did we, folks? We really didn't. But anyway, here we are celebrating Becoming Jane of that year. It is...
I don't remember this film.
I don't either. What were we doing? Well, we were touring a lot.
Yeah, but I don't remember this. This wasn't in my sphere.
Can I be honest with you? Can we be honest as a couple right now?
Oh, God.
We were not really in a romantic film era, you and I. We're not that couple, are we?
I mean, can I be even more honest?
Oh, God.
We never are.
No, we aren't.
I mean, I don't think this film considers itself a romance.
Oh, I think it does.
I don't think so. I think it considers itself historical sort of heritage drama.
Okay.
But yeah, my experience of Anne Hathaway is limited to Devil Wears Prada, Les Mis.
Mm-hmm. She's a princess.
Yeah, but I've never watched those films.
Brokeback
Mountain.
Brokeback Mountain, yeah.
A bit of Batman. I mean, that's it. That's I don't know her as I don't know her.
I don't know her. Thanks. Thanks so much, Mariah.
But honestly, she obviously has such huge significance. And I feel as though I've sort of slept on Anne Hathaway a bit.
Just to wrap that up for a second there about you and I. Yeah, we're not really romantic film goers, but they have fallen out of favour and they're starting to sort of creep back in now.
I have never seen a film with Kate Hudson in it.
No, we haven't done that either. We are shocking.
I know.
Are we romantic? I always thought we were romantic.
I don't know. I don't think it's a judgment on us. It's just a fact. I have never seen a Kate Hudson film. I have never seen a film with, apart from Pretty Woman, where two people are back to back on a poster.
Yeah, right. Classic move. Well, this is one of those romantic films that we missed in 2007.
Yeah.
Too busy being romantic ourselves, getting engaged in Paris. This was very successful around the world. It made quite a bit of money, $33 million or $37 million on a very small budget, and was number one in Australia and in England and America too. Did really, really well at the box office. So it's quite a successful film that we've missed here. Yeah, so your Anne Hathaway taste. Let's go straight into it. I feel with Anne Hathaway, I really like her. Like, I've always felt, maybe I'm protective of the hate that we can get into, maybe, that's on the internet that happened around the time of the Oscars too, where it was sort of James Franco and her, and it was a bit like musical theatre kid cringe that was happening on stage. And he gave up, so she overcompensated. Remember all of that?
I remember it very well.
I mean, watching that was like, that was painful.
I feel as though it goes Anne Hathaway's really, really big. Princess Diaries, everybody loves her. And then it just plummets. So she does the Oscars. Everybody is just repelled.
Or maybe mortified for her. But yeah, they were against her, which I think was wrong.
The internet didn't like her. Then you get all the opinion pieces saying, why does everybody hate Anne Hathaway? Then you sort of have a bubble. She gets an Oscar for Les Mis. People didn't like that either. And then people didn't like her reaction in that and how she was in the lead up to that film.
Yeah. Like and in the press junkets and stuff. Yeah.
And then she sort of just fizzles for a while, or just sort of bubbles away for quite a while.
But it's just Interstellar. Yeah.
Christopher Nolan.
And then we're back.
Are we back though?
I think we're back.
I mean, I think we're back now. I mean, with the Devil Wears Prada again.
I do quite like Anne Hathaway. I think she's a really old school star. She jumps off the screen. She has a likability, which I think is really great. We can break it down in a second whether we think she's right for this role, but she certainly does carry a film, and I think that's important.
I feel as though she's prone to using some very specific acting tools. And once you are aware of them, you cannot unsee them.
Right.
I do find her, I recognize that the Hathaway is potentially steeped in the patriarchy and a misogynism and fueled by that.
And internet over the topisms.
Indeed.
Pylons.
I do find her a little embarrassing. And I think maybe the embarrassment I feel about Anne Hathaway is a reflection of the embarrassment I feel about what I may appear to other people. So the feeling of like, oh God, that theatre kid energy is my embarrassment of my own theatre kid energy.
And that's why I defend her. I defend her because she is a theatre kid. She did musical theatre and she did theatre stuff growing up. So I tend to want to defend the theatre kids because, they're fragile. We need them.
They're not fragile. And that's the whole point. They are robust. They are cultish. They are peppy.
They are peppy. They got zip.
They have.
Old-fashioned zip is what they've got.
I think there are some things that she talks about in the interviews surrounding particularly this film that make me recoil. But we can get to that.
All right, we'll get to that a little bit later on. Let's just break down the film as it is. This is a film that suggests that due to the letters that we know that still exist that Cassandra kept, that sometime in a little short period of time, Jane Austen herself either danced or corresponded about a man named Tom Lefroy, who is an Irishman and a lawyer. And we don't know how deep that relationship was, but this movie tries to build on that idea.
That is correct, yes.
And how much it influences her, which is what I want to get into.
Yeah, and Tom Lefroy was genuinely a real person.
Yes.
And yes, there's definitely, she speaks about him and about her feelings about him. And yeah. So
and the last time she sees him, she definitely speaks about him in a letter to Cassandra.
Would you like to read have you got what that says?
Oh, let me see what I've got. No, I don't. Do you have it?
I've got it in this thing here. Jane writes to Cassandra and describes Tom as a very gentlemanlike, good-looking, pleasant young man. And then Jane reported a blow-by-blow account. We received a visit from Tom Lefroy. He has but one fault. It is that this morning coat is a great deal too light. So his coat was too light in colour. And that's the only fault that he had. Yes, there are other things, but don't worry.
Yeah, there are other things too. She talks about the dance, she talks about being upset that it might be the last time she sees him again. And that's kind of it. And on that, we are basing a whole movie. Now, there is a book that this comes from as well. The book happened first. I want to talk about the fact you touched on it at the beginning of this. I feel like if you view Becoming Jane as a romance, it sort of stays on the scaffolding a lot better than if you view it as like a historical piece with a lot of truths in it. Don't you think?
Yes. I think it's a tricky one though, because it's not existing like that. It's not saying if Jane and Tom were together or like if this were a thing. It is steeping itself as historical fiction. And it pulls from a lot of the threads in the same way that Shakespeare in Love did which this was later than Shakespeare in Love, but in a similar way, which is to say all of those things that you're familiar with in their writing that you like, here is the origin story, and it sort of reverse engineers it all in. And a lot of it is incorrect or not true. There's one thing in particular that sticks in my craw.
Go on. Oh, I hate your craw being stuck.
Oh. Yeah, the moment when Mr. Wisher, Lawrence Fox,
R.I.P. that career.
Oh.
What a fall from grace. My goodness. I tried to actually get some information on him and I was like, nah, can't be bothered once I read his Wikipedia, but go on. Yeah.
Once married to Billie Piper, though. Yeah, it's rough. It's as rough as his accent is in this. But when he says to Jane at the end of the movie, it's a truth universally acknowledged, and then it's sort of like, oh, I'll write that in. Jane came up with that. Do not tell us that Lawrence Fox came up with that, please. And it's those sort of things that you just feel like, come on, let's give her more credit. Let's allow her to have that imagination, to have all of those beautiful things, rather than just say, all these people were just around her and they just kept on just popping in little bits of information for her to magpie into her novels.
Yes. Jane is merely a cipher for those around her and she doesn't exist as an entity in herself. It absolutely breaks down what is powerful about Jane Austen herself is that she did all of this. She did take from her life. Surely there are people around her like Cassandra or her parents that influence characters or how characters' tones are in books and where she sat in things during that period of time. But Jane did the work. And that's what I don't love about this movie is that you are taking away from Jane's work. It's absolutely the patriarchy coming and going like, did she though? Or was she influenced by a man? And I'm like, no, he's not Mr. Darcy. You may want to write him as Mr. Darcy and that's cute. And that's where the one thing for me that would have solved this problem in the movie is I had to look it up. It's what in Hollywood is known as a title card. You know what a title card is?
I can imagine.
Well, for instance, a movie that I've seen it recently in that works so well is in the new Superman film. At the beginning of the Superman film, we see 3 million years ago, this happened. 3,000 years ago, this happened.
Oh, that did work well.
30 years ago, Superman landed on Earth. 3 years ago, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All they needed at the beginning of this film was a title card saying, letters were written to Cassandra from Jane about a man named Tom Lefroy. Most of the correspondence has been burnt. We only have a short amount. And this is a story, this is based on those letters. Fine. And then I'm off to the romance races. However, by not having that and having those couple of little cards at the end, like Jane never married and Pride and Prejudice came out at this time, minimizes the power of Jane Austen and her effect on history. Discuss.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. It's a tricky one because there are some weird things in it that are true.
Yes.
And I don't want to take away from that. And I also don't want to take away from the fact that I think it's a beautifully made film.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's made with a lot of care. And I think that there are some excellent performances. There's a writer called Deborah Cartmel, who is the author of screen adaptations Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, a close study of the relationship between text and film.
Amazing title.
Yeah. She looks at the ideas of this American star supported by this swathe of incredible secondary players. And that's what this is for me.
Yes.
Like, I mean, Anne Hathaway, whether you like her or not, she's the superstar, like Gwyneth Paltrow is in Emma, the superstar, the bankable name, the reason that it's going to sell well in the US. And then you have this elite Avengers of British and Irish actors who are just phenomenal.
All right, let's get into some of the actors that support her in this. And by the way, I just want to talk about the fact that if the title card had happened, I probably could have enjoyed this film much more. Or if we had just gone into it with a little bit less of like, this is how she becomes Jane Austen. The title itself weighs down on this film a lot. Like, this is the origin story. It gives it too much weight. If you come into this, which I know a lot of people love this movie because it is, I believe it is a romantic film. I believe that's its strength. Its strength is a romantic retelling of Jane Austen's life in a fun, interesting way. I am all on board because of the craft, because of the filmmaking, because of the writing. This is some really good writing in here. There are some incredible performances. It's directed by Julian Gerald. So he did Brideshead Revisited. He did Kinky Boots. His DOP, his director of photography, is a guy called, I'm going to say this wrong, but I apologize. I think it's Idril Brild. And the cinematography is gorgeous.
Oh, it's stunning.
This movie is sumptuous. And Brild also did House of Cards. He did In Bruges. He did The Holdovers. We're talking a major cinematography here. And I think Gerald is great as a director. There are some moments that just work so well. Cassandra's letter with James Cromwell at the table with her out of focus at the beginning and how that's directed. A lot of the outdoor scenes and how it's all choreographed.
Can we just go back to that? So
of course.
So as we touched on with the Miss Austen episode, it shows us that moment where Cassandra learns that her husband her fiance has died of yellow fever in the Caribbean. And they handle it, oh my God,
so well.
And the fact that they don't actually, so I'm going to cry, but the fact they don't even speak of it. And just to see Anna Maxwell Martin, when she's in the bedroom with Julie Walters, it's heartbreaking.
It is. It really is.
So just the lack of speech during that is so powerful. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Well, I think the script is really great. There's some really fantastic quotes in it. It's Sarah Williams, and then a person called Kevin Hood came on to give it more romance. He did Grange Hill, the TV show Grange Hill.
Flying Sausage.
There you go. One of my favorite things, and I gave her that quote at the beginning, which is a really fabulous quote, but my other one, which we both laughed at when it happened, is when she's writing, someone goes, Jane, and Lady Gresham, played by Maggie Smith, goes, what is she doing? And Mr. Weasley goes, writing, and Maggie Smith says, can anything be done about it? There's some really great one-liners, zingers. This is also, and if there's any children out there, watch out, this is a randy film.
Oh my God. That'll do, pig. Oh my God.
You're talking about James Cromwell, of course.
I am.
Yeah.
The first minute. Oh my God.
Just, what are we suggesting here? That the Austen parents, I'm glad they're so connected in every way, including sexually, but I don't need to suggest how it
okay.
I'm visualizing it again now. I'm stunned.
It is.
James Cromwell and
should we say it? I don't think we can. But
he's truffling. I want to say that.
No. Stop. No. Oh gosh. It's very. I was really shocked.
Yeah.
Literally the first 90 seconds, James Cromwell
is performing a sexual act on his wife while she's above the sheets. Her head's above the sheets. How about that? Yeah. Does that help? And I just don't know why that's the beginning of this film.
But also it doesn't, that level of suggestion doesn't happen throughout the rest of the film.
Nope, that was it.
That's it. So
there's one stage they walk down the hallway together with a candle and you went, oh God, not again. And
but look, let's celebrate that.
Yeah.
That the most sexual people in this film are James Cromwell and Julie Walters.
Get that Puma lovin'.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, right?
We weren't expecting that.
No, not at their age.
Outrageous.
Yeah, there was that. There's the bums by the lake. Bottoms by the Lake.
Again, like in the...
That's fairly common though, right? In those sort of films. I'm thinking of movies like, maybe...
What movies are you thinking about? Bums in Lakes?
Have you not seen Bums and Lakes? Colin Firth's in it. No. Well, I'm thinking of like, there's movies where people of that era, they might strip off and jump in a lake. Don't they do them like those sort of, what are the, like Howard's End sort of films?
Merchant Ivory, Bums and Lakes.
They might have a Bums and Lakes scene, right?
I'm sure there are bums in that.
Yentl has a Bums and Lakes scene, I think.
Whose bum? Mandy's bum?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we see Mandy's bum in Yentl. Bums and Lakes.
Okay. Write in about what your favourite bum in a lake is. Thanks.
Bums and Lakes is another
We're gonna
t-shirt.
have a competition.
It's another t-shirt. And then there's just the overt sexuality of James McAvoy in the library and the reading of the widening and the ecstasy and the book stuff. It's good writing, but with all these other things that happen, it just felt a little bit on the nose for me, not to bring it back to James Cromwell.
Oh, yeah, but I think that for me, what's more winning is there's sort of like a smouldering sexuality, like when they're at the ball again.
Great direction
at the ball.
Incredible stuff again when she's dancing with Lawrence Fox and then he's just there.
Yep. No, then James McAvoy's just there.
Yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah, all that's done really, really well. And like you see his hand on her back and that feels, it is hot.
They actually have terrific chemistry.
Yeah, they do.
This is he has chemistry with most people.
James McAvoy's wonderful.
This is his movie. He runs away with it. For me, yes, while Anne is the star of this movie, James is running. He is boxing with his shirt off.
Becoming James.
We did. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
I don't know whether I enjoyed the boxing scenes.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that he did everything. Like, I think they're just trying to set up like, in the olden days in London, there was prostitutes and boxing. It's a really like, here, step right up, papa, all that sort of stuff. It feels like, why would he be doing this Tom Lefroy? There's no evidence that I think that Tom was a boxer.
No. On the contrary, that all feels like he's a bit of a man about town.
Exactly. That's just setting up the romance of like, he is the opposite of her.
What a rebel.
But he's so good in this movie.
He is. He does not look like a good boxer.
No. And he does get his ass kicked. Twice.
But that's one of them is an accident because somebody calls his name and he's like, oh.
No, it's both times he gets hit from, he's both times he gets hit from someone calling his name. He's the most ADHD boxer I've ever seen in his life. Hey, what? Someone said my name and smack right in the face. I love James McAvoy. I mean, he is really a great actor. He's had obviously so many hits. He doesn't need praise from us, but being so young and still coming up and stealing a movie like this, that is true star power.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
He's romantic, he's sexy, he's funny. James is just great. What do you think of James Cromwell and Julie Walters in this movie?
I think that Julie Walters is the Mrs. Bennet we haven't had.
Yes, I love that.
I think that there's a sense of an aspect. Obviously, Mrs. Bennet sits in the grotesque chair, and so she's always larger as a character and as a performance. And as Alison Steadman said, she goes for it. That's very much that. She fulfills that role. She fulfills that role comedically, but I was talking to a friend of ours this week who says that she misses the heart of a Mrs. Bennet.
Yeah.
And that she was hoping that Olivia Colman is going to deliver on that. And I feel as though Julie Walters delivers that.
Yeah.
Because Mrs. Austen, Cassandra Austen, was not particularly beloved by Jane in many biographies. They had a difficult relationship and it's considered that they weren't particularly close. Hence why, or it's suggested that that's why she writes so many difficult relationships between daughters and mothers. And so often the maternal or the guiding figure is not actually from an actual biological mother.
Yeah, she's closer to her father in a lot of the projects.
Or somebody else will provide that role.
And father figures, particularly in the two big ones like Pride and Prejudice and Emma, provide a real center for that main title characters or the main character's life.
Indeed. So I don't know whether that's necessarily true, but obviously they are presented very much like a Mrs. Bennett and a Mr. Bennett.
She's amazing. She does that one scene with her and she's unbelievable.
So it's after Jane has turned down the proposal. And God, she is so good.
She's incredible.
I'm a massive fan of
And
that. Cromwell, he's good.
This is where we're still in the good Cromwell phase. He's just turned bad, and I think he's in his bad man phase.
He's bad, Cromwell.
No. He plays bad characters. Like he's always playing the bad guy. Whenever James Cromwell comes onto like a prestige TV thing, I'm like, they're in trouble. Here comes James Cromwell.
No, he wasn't bad in Succession.
Yeah, but he was sort of grouchy and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's Succession.
Yeah, that fits in. He's the good side of grouchy in Succession.
Yeah, he's complex. I'd be grumpy if my grandson was Greg.
Yeah, true.
I think he's good. He wouldn't even be in my top 5 performances in this. And that's not negative on James Cromwell. I just don't think he's given enough.
Okay, so who are your top 5 performances in this?
Okay, Maggie Smith.
Obviously.
Just
doing Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Love to see it.
Spectacular. Anna Maxwell Martin. Great. Don't Make Me Cry Again. Julie Walters.
Amazing.
Helen McCrory.
Oh.
Helen McCrory as Anne Radcliffe. It just made me go, I need to know everything about Anne Radcliffe.
Mm-hmm.
Why is she so sad? Why is she so distant? Where's becoming Anne? That's what I want.
Yeah.
That was fascinating. Oh, God, she's amazing. And number 5, Ian Richardson.
Oh, F.U., Francis Urquhart.
Yeah.
From the original House of Cards. He's great. Very camp.
Yeah.
Why didn't he do more movies? He's terrific.
Nice. He died before this came out, I think.
Oh, well, that'd be why. R.I.P. R.I.P. to the great man. The Anne stuff, the Anne Radcliffe stuff, didn't happen. Do we want to go to debunk some of the stuff? Like, we double bunk it? Bunction Junction? Should we go to Bunction Junction?
Debunction.
Debunction Junction. Here we go. Woo, woo. Woo, woo. Oh,
Let's go.
Debunction Junction. Anyway, it's very musical this week.
Yeah, people hate us just like they hate Anne Hathaway.
I know. A lot of the stuff in this movie does not happen, and I find it really frustrating, and it took me out of the experience of watching it. Although if I watched it in 2007 not knowing, maybe that wouldn't have happened. First of all, there's a character that sits with the family that they've decided to integrate into the family life at home with the Austen family, and that is George, the brother who is, in this interpretation of her life, deaf? ? The problem is, I thought, did she have a brother, George? I thought she had like the richer brothers and there was an adopted brother got adopted out. George is in fact real. George, in early childhood, began to have fits or seizures. Today, he would probably receive a diagnosis of an intellectual disability, as well as maybe cerebral palsy or epilepsy. Apparently, the maternal uncle, Thomas, had a similar disability. But they were paid to live away. George never lived with the family. He was left out of the mother's will. That was just the sad bit of the times that it was. He's in an unmarked grave. I mean, that is the tragedy of that period of time when we didn't know about mental illness or anything like that. I think it's lovely they tried to integrate him into the story, but it's just not true. And Anne Hathaway learnt sign language for this film for that character to be written in.
Yes, but Jane did know sign language.
Wait, what?
So Jane has been described as being able to talk with her fingers to a deaf man.
Oh.
So, yeah, she could do that. Now, yes, I agree that George was probably most likely epileptic, but the parents did write of him and speak of him, and Mr. Austen referred to him as a good boy. The hope is that in previous times, his epilepsy would have been considered to be something of a mark of the devil or something like that.
Of course.
And so there was an understanding that this was a disability rather than anything else.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that they were awful to him or anything. I'm saying he's not a member of the family in their household.
Absolutely. And he wasn't mentioned in any of the biographies that were written by the family. I think it is a moment of the time, but he did live in the same family home as his uncle. So he was brought up with his uncle, both who had similar afflictions.
Yeah. As we just said as well, the Helen McCrory character meeting Jane Austen didn't happen. Lovely scene, just didn't happen.
Nuts.
I know. I was disappointed by that too. Now, we do know that someone did propose to Jane back in the time, and that was Mr.
Big Wither.
Anyway, I love a throwback. But multiple men proposing all the time to Jane?
Yeah, she gets 3 in about half an hour.
Yeah, this film is like to the point where she almost slaps the last one.
No, but she's slapping him because he wrote to Francis Urquhart.
Yeah, but it's just seemed really out of character.
Yeah.
We actually don't have any record of Tom coming back with a daughter named Jane at the end and being a fan.
No, but he did have a daughter named Jane.
He did, and that's apparently after his wife's
Mary.
grandmother. Yeah, her
Right.
grandmother. Yeah, so it's nothing to do with everyone's like Jane. No, it's a family name and quite common.
But
she's back on the Lucys.
Yeah,
What does
I am.
Lucy say?
It's not what Lucy says, it's what Tom says. So Tom LaFoy lived over 50 years longer than Jane.
Wow.
They were born 3 weeks apart, and then she died at 41. He died at 91. In those days, that's madness.
He must have been working out.
Yeah,
He was on the shakes for sure, doing some protein shakes.
Well, he was taking something that James Cromwell had. But yeah, he became Chief Justice of Ireland, which they mentioned in the movie. In his extreme old age, he would still sometimes speak of her, Jane. He was heard to say cryptically that she was one to be much admired and not easily forgotten by those who had ever known her. Isn't that beautiful?
Right, that is beautiful. So she clearly had an impact. I definitely feel like the romance is real. I don't want to debunk the romance. I do think the romance happened. I think, judging by the letter that she says to Cassandra about how she's going to cry so much, I definitely think Jane fell for this guy. This happened.
Yes.
And the romance is hot and real and heavy and whatever it is. I'm sure they were macking out the woods like they were in this one.
The woods for me, I just felt like every 5 minutes they're in the woods.
You didn't like the woods?
Well, number one, I don't have woods like that in Hampshire. I mean, I'm sure there are woods in Hampshire, but that's not what it just every 10 minutes. Oh, here's Jane walking in the woods. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Now Jane and George are walking in the woods. Oh, no, they're going to pash in the woods with it was just too many woods. The house, Steventon, the house that they are filmed living in.
Yep.
Did it look familiar?
No. I do have a short attention span though.
That is the same house that the Morlands live in the 2007 Northanger Abbey.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So that's the same house.
I literally just watched that film. But anyway,
There you go.
more for me.
Know your rectories.
Sorry, please see a doctor if you want to know more about your rectories.
Over 50, every man should know his rectories.
You really got to look for it yourself. Hi, I'm James Cromwell. Do you know your rectory?
That'll do, pig.
My goodness. Is there anything else we want to debunk at Debunction Junction?
No.
The only other thing I want to point out was Jane has a real thing with priests and the clergy. You know what I mean? Like they're a little bit overheated. I noticed that soldiers in all of the adaptations and all of the books, you would think soldiers would be like, oh, and here comes a soldier. And in popular cultural movies, that's usually the hero of this all and someone who's more virile. But with Jane, it's a lot of like clergy heroes and men who are going to go to the clergy. And
Whoa. Okay.
I'm saying she's got a hot priest thing going on.
Okay. Mr. Elton.
Yep.
Mr. Collins.
Yep. Edward Ferrars in Sense and Sensibility.
Edward Ferrars.
Mr. Tilney.
Mr. Tilney. Henry Crawford.
Mr. Bertram in Mansfield Park.
Oh, not Henry Crawford. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Edmund Bertram.
Yeah. That's a lot for one author,
Yeah, but-
going back to the same sort of idea, don't you think?
No.
And they're all like, I'm ready to settle down. Mr. Collins comes in, I'm looking for a wife. Any one of your daughters will do.
Okay. No, I think that this is how so you've got the first son is going to inherit everything.
Yeah.
Second son becomes a priest.
Right.
That's like the thing. And also Jane's family, obviously her father was a priest.
Yep.
2 of her brothers became priests. They went to Oxford. Oxford at that time was priesty school.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. See, I don't know any of this. That's why I'm just pointing it out. You're educating me here.
Okay.
I'm receiving the information.
But I think it's more to do with the fact that if you're in that sort of pseudo gentry,
Right.
that's going to be Priestapalooza. I mean,
Priest fest.
it is.
Yeah.
That's where they're coming from. I mean, because they're not going to be coming from the higher echelons, like the actual landed gentry. Maybe the Bertrams are, they're landed gentry, but yeah. And it's not going to be coming from Fanny Price's brothers.
No.
So it's coming from that middle class. So I think that it's more of I think it's real. I don't think it's Jane having a hot priest thing. Also, a lot of those, they're really differing characters. I mean, to compare Henry Tilney to Mr. Collins,
I'm just saying there's...
Mr. Elton to Edmund Bertram.
Okay, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm happy to put that out there and be wrong. I'm
Okay.
just suggesting that that's what I observed.
So two characters who are real are the Comtesse and Henry.
Yeah.
So Henry was one of Jane's brothers, and she did have this cousin who had gone to France and married
A comtesse?
a comte.
A comte?
What do you call me? And he was guillotined, and that's all real.
Oof.
And obviously, the relationship between Jane's brother and his cousin was a thing. But this is something that I wanted to talk about. So there is a woman on YouTube called Ellie Dashwood. I don't know if that's her real name.
Oh, yeah, I know Ellie
You've seen
Dashwood.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She talks a lot about romantic stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's good. She's a good YouTuber.
Absolutely. Follow Ellie Dashwood. But she did a short the other day about marrying your cousin.
Niche.
Well, this is the thing. So it's a done thing in the Austenverse. This happens a bit.
And in the royal family, you could say that too.
Not so much your first cousin, but yes, marrying your cousin was a done thing. However, do you want to hear something that you could not do?
I'd love to know.
You could not marry your dead wife's sister.
Okay, wait a second. So
if your
you can
wife
marry your
passed away-
first cousin, but you can't marry your dead wife's sister.
Yeah. Or
Why? She's not even in your family tree.
Or you couldn't marry your dead sibling's wife.
Your dead sister. Right. Why?
Because when anybody married your siblings,
Mhm.
they were, in canon law, considered your siblings.
Oh.
So it was incest for you to marry that sibling. So you see like Lizzie and Wickham, and they refer to each other as brother and sister when they're walking through the garden. They are, in their consideration, actual brother and sister now.
At that time, legally speaking, that's what they are.
Correct.
Right.
And this was a thing. So I saw this on Ellie Dashwood, and then I started looking into this.
Okay, tell me
It
more about this, because this
is-
is so complicated.
So it's illegal, absolutely illegal to marry your dead sibling's widow or widower. And it became a huge topic in the 19th century, to the
Sure.
point where people started to, there were bills being suggested in Parliament to change it. And
I was going to say, sooner or later, someone's going to have the hots for a dead brother's wife and be like, this has got to change.
well, but this was a really common thing, that particularly if your wife died and you have all of these children and her sister comes to aid, and that is a legitimate opportunity for you to meet a woman. The children love her. It would make sense.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Even to the point, so later on in the 19th century, still a hot topic, constantly debated.
Gosh.
They even talk about it in Gilbert and Sullivan in Iolanthe. There's a line about, he shall prick that annual blister, marriage with a deceased wife's sister. Like, this was like a topic of conversation.
God, they were good, weren't they, GNS? That's good. The use of the word prick and sister. It's really good.
So in 1907, it became legal.
That is late.
Yeah, to marry your dead wife's sister.
And then the
it,
gates were open. The floodgates opened up.
but it wasn't until 1927 that you could marry your dead brother's widow.
Oh man, that is just scrambled my brain slightly.
I know, isn't that crazy?
It's so crazy
It's
that
a
happened.
big thing.
Wow, who knew that was the thing? I'm shocked by that.
There you go. Dead wife, sister-law.
Dead wife, sister-law, in-law. Anyway, she's dead.
Yeah, so it was a whole thing, marriage with a deceased wife's sister. Yeah, sorry, thank you.
I did not know we were going to go there. This is just, it's a little romantic movie from 2007, and here we are in 18th and 19th century law.
There we are.
There we are. Who knew we were going to get there? Gosh. Do you want to have the fact?
Give me a fact.
All right, I have the fact. Anne Hathaway, as a fan of Miss Austen since the age of 14, she read all of the books when she knew she was doing this role, did all of her research. She went through the letters. She learned, as you said, sign language. She learned calligraphy. I think there is actually Anne's calligraphy in the movie. It's actually really nice calligraphy.
Yeah.
I think she did a good job. She learned dance choreography. She learned the piano. She moved to England for a month before filming to improve her British accent. Probably should have been an extra month. I just want to say that. It's not a great accent.
No, there's one bit where she says Arthur.
Yeah, it slips a lot.
Oof.
And she went the full DDL, the full Daniel Day-Lewis. She stayed in character. People had to call her Jane, so she would never break character.
I've got a quote about that. It was the first time ever in my career that I stayed in character for the whole time. I alienated myself from friends and turned off my cell phone and stopped being myself for a few months. Everyone liked me much better. So that was worrying. Then at the end, I slipped back into me. And at first that felt like a character. It was a strange condition, but it was a nice experience to commit fully. I mean, this is the stuff where I'm like, look, she doesn't deserve the hate, but she deserves an eye roll.
You know what? Kudos for her for trying it. Every actor should try it once, but yeah. I mean, honestly, it's become a dying art form, the whole like deep immersion thing now. Even Daniel Day-Lewis is sort of, I'm back acting again, but I'm not, don't want to talk about my process. Like people are sort of pulling away from it now.
Yeah, do I do it anymore?
Jeremy Strong does it. He notoriously likes to stay in character. I know that Al Pacino still likes to be called whatever the character he is in on set. He just likes to be known as the character. Whatever that character's name is, that's who he is. So there's still some hanging on to it, but I think it's kind of becoming out of fashion, shall we say.
Yeah. Have you heard about Anne's panic attacks?
No.
So after she finished filming, I'll read you the quote. About a month after we finished the film, I started having panic attacks when I slept. I had bad dreams about being chased around, about being stabbed to death by Jane Austen with quills.
Huh? Wow.
So I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be sweating and breathing heavily. That stopped when people watched the film and they liked it. That placated me. So I guess I still need other people's approval.
That's that theatre kid energy we were talking about, right?
Isn't it just?
That's a big theatre kid energy. Stabbing it to death with quills.
Can you imagine?
My goodness, that's a lot of stabbing. You look like a little porcupine.
Oh my God.
So at the end of it all, as we're wrapping this up now,
Yes.
the more I talk about the film and the more I look at the things, when I take all the debunction junction out of it, there's a good movie there. There's a good romantic movie there. There's great performances there. There's a reason why people love this movie so much. I know you've got some people who've written to you, but I just think that giving it the weight of becoming Jane and all the other stuff and not giving it a qualifier to start the film, now that we know better, it hasn't stood the test of time as well for me. But if I take it just on like, let it wash over me, it's great. There's some great performances. James McAvoy, what a king. Love him.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fine.
Brutal.
There are some very good performances in it. I would chop the last flash forward.
Yeah, don't need it.
Oh,
Don't need a time jump.
God, no. That was, I mean, I think it's obviously we've spoken previously about films that are wiggy.
Mm-hmm.
This is a not particularly wiggy film until the last 5 minutes.
And there's moustaches that go up the cheeks, those ones.
Oh.
They're all glued on.
Oh, good Lord.
There's a lot of baby powder and like hair and fringes.
Oh.
But her wig sits above her head. I don't know what's going on with Anne's wig, and I think quite the costumes and everything are quite good in this, and then it just sort of turns a bit.
Incorrect.
No, I don't think that.
Well, you're wrong.
That has.
I asked.
You notice how I didn't react to that because I'm used to hearing that.
I asked our Instagram friends what they think of becoming Jane.
Let's hear it.
Well, Hilary Davidson,
our favorite. We love you. Hi, Hilary. Friend of the show.
Fashion historian and associate professor Hilary Davidson said of Anne, her clothes are strangely around 5 years ahead of fashion compared to everyone else's.
Oh.
And Mary the Austenite said the same thing.
The fashion's not great in this film.
Yeah. The costumes are haphazard and inconsistent with the period.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What else are the fans saying?
Well, Mary the Austenite continues. She's got mixed feelings. She did not like Mr. Weasley.
No.
No. Or doing that, giving Jane her ideas. No,
Yeah.
that was not a fan. Accent all over the place. But some people thought that it was an enjoyable film, a comfort film. West End star Trevor Ashley said that he hadn't seen it, but he's a big Anne fan, Fanne.
Love you, Trashley.
From one theatre kid to the other.
Yeah. I spoke to my Austen loving EP at Today Extra and
EP
executive producer at Today Extra, and she was like, oh, you're going to do that movie. That movie has a hold over me. And she texted a friend, and a friend was like, oh my God, that film. And they're of the 30s. Jane Austen heads.
They've just turned 30.
Yeah,
so they are.
and they really love it. They're of that younger generation, took this as a romance and went with it. And that's why I was like, oh, you're not going to love some of the things I say about this. But I feel the same way as one of the quotes says. I'm really mixed on the film.
Yes.
I really enjoy some of it, and a lot of it I'm like, no, this wouldn't happen. No.
Yeah, but I think
don't ruin her legacy like this.
I feel as though it's not ruining her legacy.
No, but it's taking it away from her.
Yeah, it's giving her less agency. And I think that, the reverse engineering of where the ideas are coming from is perhaps clumsy. I don't know whether it would happen now. I don't think it would. I don't think that there's any way that you would say, and that brilliant piece of writing came from a man. Wouldn't happen.
No.
Thankfully. So I think that that's the snapshot of 2007.
It was a good year for you and I.
It was, and for Anne Hathaway.
Also for Jane Austen, this, on the back of a few other things, this really helped keep that, like, we've had 2005 Pride and Prejudice, into this. We're in the resurgence, the second wave of Jane Austen fans on screen.
The Jane Austen Museum said that this was a massive injection of cash and interest for them. So, you know what? Keep it alive.
You know what, then? 2 thumbs up. If that's the case.
Yeah.
Keep injecting stuff into museums for Jane Austen. That was Becoming Jane.
Yes. So next week, we're going to go back to Steventon, but this time it's going to be the Morlands house in Northanger Abbey. That's right. We're getting into the book and to the movie as well from 2007. So check that out. And 1987. Oh, yeah. There's two, if you can find it, there's 2 properties. We're still searching. We'll let you know how we go. Let us know what you think about this in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, do all that stuff that you know how to do. But that was it. Bye. Bye.